Welcome everyone to Bono's Gamers episode 9, and tonight I am joined for the first time on the show by a Mr. Derek from Nerd Cave Network. How's it going, Derek?
Man, I'm great. How are you, sir?
I'm doing super well. Just excited to get to talk to you tonight about some games. We got another guest coming here in a minute, and I think we'll have a good time tonight.
Oh, okay. All right.
Some sad things, some maybe exciting things, some controversial things. We're just full of all kinds of emotions tonight here on Bono's Gamers.
I feel like, unfortunately, not to bury the lead. Hey, there's Yugi.
What's up, Yugi?
What's up?
What's up?
It's good to see you guys. Good to see you guys.
How's it going, bro?
Good. I didn't mean to interrupt, brother. Derek, go ahead. No, it's good to see you, Bo. Good to see you, Derek. Appreciate you being here, man.
Yeah, man. Appreciate you. So, well, I was going to say, it's like not to bury the lead, but I feel like that's the state of the games industry now. It's like some sad things always have to be sprinkled in every week. It doesn't matter what it is now. Like, it's just like, what depressing news. It's almost getting like the real news nowadays.
Yeah. Well, I guess real life doesn't stop even when we're gaming. So
right.
Yeah.
Crazy.
It's actually maybe an important thing to discuss sometime is that real life doesn't stop even when you're gaming. It's really easy to use. I was thinking about this morning, actually. It's really easy to use, to overuse gaming as a coping mechanism
for sure.
When you need to deal with real life things, you know what I mean?
I mean, the term sweaty boys is a real thing.
Yeah, I was thinking about comfort food, and I was like, man, you can have comfort games. Like there's like a game that can become like a comfort food game, you know?
Yep.
For me, that's definitely COD Zombies for me.
Really?
Whenever I can jump on there. Or any roguelike, actually. Any roguelike. I can jump into a roguelike and just forget about stuff.
Favorite roguelike?
Ooh, that's a good one, actually. Risk of Rain 2.
Yeah, that is a good one.
If Zach were here, he would say God of War Valhalla.
That man will ride the pony until the wheels fall off, man. He won't let it go.
Yeah,
that's funny.
Oh man. I like Dead Cells.
It's a good one.
I feel like I could pick that up anytime and just play for a few minutes.
Yeah.
But I'm kind of old school. I like the 2D side-scrolling platforming side of that part, just as much as the combat. So, yep.
Not a bad example though.
Well, we got some topics to hit tonight to go over tonight.
Yes, we do.
Make sure if you're watching to drop us a comment, some questions. You got your own thoughts. Let us know what it is in the comment section. And with that said, we will start tonight just with, we've kind of done our intros here. So we're going to start with we got more layoffs announced at the end of last week, unfortunately, in the gaming industry. And this was something that really plagued 2023, kind of throughout the whole year. And it's something that we don't want to see. It's you never want to hear about somebody losing their job. And they're real people and who have real families and lives and bills to pay, and just like the rest of us, and you just don't want to hear about those things. And so unfortunately we've heard about more, and it's not small. It's not like 50 people. It's in the thousands.
Yeah. Arguably the biggest one we've had.
Yeah, and it's really sad. So over at Microsoft, Microsoft last year finally acquired Activision Blizzard, and that's what the layoffs are pertaining to. I think the majority of them anyway are Activision Blizzard related layoffs. Am I right about that, Derek?
That is correct. Yeah, it is mainly pertaining to Activision Blizzard. So much so that there was a separate team in, I think, Blizzard's side that was developing some like survival game that they just canceled, and that whole team I think got laid off.
Oh man.
So
that sucks.
It's ridiculous because it was the biggest dub for Microsoft because it was like such a long battle. We literally had an ongoing theme at the Nerd Cave. It was like Microsoft versus the world, because literally they were fighting the entire world to acquire these properties.
Yeah.
Did it, and we're so grateful because Bobby Kotick would be out finally, and they're making all the right moves. And it almost seemed like they couldn't do anything wrong from a PR standpoint, especially from Phil Spencer's side, because he's been such a great force. And who knows, this may have been over Phil's head. We don't know all the logistics about it. I know we'll dive into it more on the Nerd Cave on Thursday, but it just
Yeah.
feels like such a blemish, like especially for all the employees that got laid off, right? They're like,
Mhm.
oh, finally we're finally seeing the light at the end of the tunnel. We can finally move on from all this negative, bad press that we've gotten over the years. And then all of a sudden it's like, well, now 2,000 of you can go home now. We don't need your services.
Yeah. Yeah, that is true. They've had some problems in recent years, in particular, and if you've like held on through all of that and persevered through all of that and through this merger, then to come on the other side of it and find out you don't have a job, that's pretty terrible.
Mm-hmm.
No,
I mean, the only, if you can call it a shining light, the only shining light is if a lot of people that were involved in this like negative culture that was like I think they let a lot of those people go like beforehand anyway. But if any of the remnants from that the negative culture were still there that got laid off, then that's okay. But majority of them are not. Like, not, it wasn't all of them. I'm sure a lot of them were like just hardworking devs just trying to put food on the table.
Right. And like I guess with any merger between companies, you expect there to be some layoffs,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like you might have you're merging two companies, you might suddenly have two heads of the art department. Well, you can't do that. So either somebody's going to get demoted or transferred to a different department, or they're going to, get laid off. But this goes way beyond just a few like crossover positions. I feel like this is way more, it goes way deeper than that. Wouldn't you say?
I would say so too. And I mean, it's the state of the industry, because I think we talked about it, or it was discussed last week on the show. I wasn't there because we had a change in work, but part of the reason was COVID. These studios decided to ramp up once they got all these green projects greenlit, because it's like, oh, we've gotten so much money in the games industry now because people are playing more from home, people are streaming more from home, all that kind of fun stuff. And so it's like, all right, let's ramp up and greenlit all these projects. And then post COVID happened, and they're like, hey, all that cash flow is suddenly not as plentiful as it was. We got to make some cuts. We got to keep the lights on. Now, grant some of it was corporate greed. Let's not sugarcoat it here.
Yeah.
But a lot of it was just like over budgeting. And when they realized they couldn't make it, they're like, sorry guys, we know you're excited about all this. You put at least probably a couple years into this project, but now we have to can it.
Right. Yeah. That's a good segue, I guess, into one of the things I wanted to bring up tonight, is that because of this layoff situation, there was an old interview with Mr. Iwata from Nintendo back a few years ago, who was president and has passed on since then.
Mm-hmm.
But he said in 2013, and this is a quote, he said, if we reduce the number of employees, and wait, context, 2013, they've hit a brick wall in a sense where the Wii was like selling, and then they came up with the Wii U, and it didn't sell. It was like somebody slammed on the brakes for them, and so he comes out and he says, if we reduce the number of employees for better short-term financial results, employee morale will decrease. I sincerely doubt employees who fear that they may be laid off will be able to develop software titles that could impress people around the world. At Nintendo, employees make valuable contributions in their respective fields. So I believe that laying off a group of employees will not help to strengthen Nintendo's business in the long run. I know that's like a long quote.
But I mean, it's also foreshadowing of, like it's almost like he knew what was coming, and he's like, hey, just throwing this out here. It's sort of like Aonuma saying, a good game is, a delayed game can be good later on, but a bad game that's rushed is bad forever.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, that's exactly right. And that comes from Nintendo as well. So it's
Yeah.
there's a different culture going on over there, it seems like, at Nintendo, and we've talked about that before, but I love this quote because I think it just really shows just a very different perspective that, hey, this is not money can't be all that we're about. And it shows, like, it's not short-sighted. It shows that he's looking down a mile, 2 miles down the road at what's coming, coming toward them, and instead of just what's right in front of them. And he knows that, yeah, you can't destroy people's lives like this, because you're going to create a work culture that doesn't trust its leadership, and that's not going to be able to perform as well as they need to at their jobs to keep the company running in the long term. And to go with that, of course, he famously took a 50% pay cut as the president of Nintendo. 50%. And I think all the other board of directors, everybody else on the board, took a 20% pay cut. So the upper management of Nintendo took a huge pay decrease to help pay the salaries of their employees, so they wouldn't have to let anyone go. And it really makes you think, like, why don't more companies do stuff like that? Because you don't hear about companies doing that.
Right.
I mean, I've never heard of another company do that.
Well, and it's ironic that it's, you talk about Nintendo, because now, correct me if I'm wrong, but they're the only company, at least out of the big three, that we haven't heard, because it was, Sony was the first one. They had some of their internal studios do layoffs last year, and Microsoft was good for a while, and then all of a sudden we see this at the end of last week, and Nintendo's like the Lone Ranger in the fact of that they're the only one out of the big three who hasn't had any major layoffs. So they're found a formula to win. It's almost like, to kind of segue to sports a little bit, make a comparison. It's sort of like, you talk about, like, the devs won't trust the companies anymore. It's sort of like, how players are like, they sign all these contracts and like, oh, be a team player. And then they take these new contracts with a pay cut. And then they get traded somewhere else because they could to basically be a tax write-off. And now that's why there's so much, like, disparity with players and the organizations now, because it's like organizations are like, why don't you do us a solid? And it's like, why? So you can trade me later, and that's why you talk about do a pay cut so you could be feed more people. Like, I know it's a little apples to oranges, but Tom Brady, when he was with New England, he took how many pay cuts? He took less and less money so they could build a better team to win championships. So, it's basically a very similar ideology. It's like, why don't if it starts up at the top, it's a trickle down effect.
Yeah, you're right. It's inspirational in a way. Yeah. You begin. It's the pay it forward effect, right? It can start to do that snowball. Yeah,
right. Yugi, what are your thoughts on all this? Because I've been doing most of the yakking.
No, you're good. I love the all the insight, because you're a lot more well versed on it than I am. But unfortunately, it's like anything in the entertainment industry. It is the nature of the beast. You know what I mean? You don't want it to happen, of course. No one wants it to happen. But seeing the way that things are now compared to in that 2013 statement, I don't know, man.
Yeah.
You can like, let's be honest. When you play a game nowadays, you can feel that things are just not how they used to be. Like I feel like back then they were out there to really prove themselves. You know what I mean? Like, they really had to try. They really had to justify, for example, the purchase. Like, hey, because I mean, games were what during the Xbox era, $40, $50. It's really not that far off to what it is now. So
50.
You're right. So you had to. I think even during the Genesis era, it was pretty expensive. Certain games are like not cheap. So you know what I mean?
Like, it was more. I think it used to be more. I think it decreased for a while. When they went to discs over cartridges, I feel like there was a decrease temporarily, and then it went back up I feel like
Yeah.
I could be remembering that wrong.
It could be like maybe manufacturing or the way like CDs work. It might be
right.
easier.
It was cheap. It was way cheaper, and so I
Right.
think there was a drop in price, which
Right.
is ironic because you know what's even cheaper than discs? Digital downloads.
Right.
Correct.
But do we see
Right.
any price decreases now?
That's what I mean. Like the attitude, we've gotten a little too laxed, and I think us as gamers, and I'm part of the problem. I'll admit, right? As content creators, maybe we haven't done the best job at like shutting that stuff down. You know what I mean? Because everyone, I'm gonna be honest. A lot of us, and I'll put myself in the same category. We're very quick to like want to get the review out, want to talk about the game, want to stay relevant with the wave, rather than like being like, hey, maybe we shouldn't give this company our money because they're getting a little too laxed with the way that they develop, and maybe their practices aren't the best. That's another thing that, I mean, how many people do you hear say things like, well, I'm not going to buy games from this company anymore because the way they treat their employees? I mean, that's like almost never. These things need to be talked about, but we could always do a better
Right.
job. Yeah.
So
Right.
and it is
Yeah.
like it is a hard thing because it's the catch-22, right? Because we always talk about vote with your wallet, for
Right.
if we don't think a game is good or if we don't want to support our company, support a company because they do XYZ. But it's also a thing of like, man, I just want to have that, we talked about like that escapism for a little bit, like
Mm-hmm.
there's a healthy
Hmm.
balance of escapism where you just want to just a break, you've had a long day
Yeah.
at work, stuff's not going well outside of work type of thing, and you just need some type of break. And you don't want, this is the unfortunate side to video games being a business, because it's like, all right, cool, I need something positive in my life. And it's like, cool, the game that you're anticipating is either canceled or they have some shady things go on at the studio, and now it's like, can I just not have anything?
Yeah. It's so
Yeah.
corporatized now. Like I feel
Yeah.
like before you could tell these were guys who were genuinely passionate and genuinely wanted to make games, because it wasn't like it was the most popular thing. Now that it's like so popular, there's so much money behind it. I
Yeah.
feel like just, you know what I mean, people got laxed, and now we're to the point now to where, things like this happen, and to them it's probably just another, just another
Mhm.
another budget cut, you know.
Yeah.
Right.
Unfortunately.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Quick shout out to EDK. Howdy.
Appreciate
What
you,
up?
How's it
EDK.
going?
Welcome.
Yeah. Thanks for being here. Derek, I don't think, I mean, I don't know that there hasn't been any layoffs at Nintendo, but there hasn't
Mhm.
been any mass layoffs like what we're
Correct.
seeing.
Yeah.
Anything
Uh,
significant.
Yeah.
Right. And one of the things that is maybe a little bit different from how Nintendo handled the pandemic in the last
Mhm.
few years than the other big three or other big two, is that they did not go out and start spending billions of dollars acquiring other developers.
Correct.
They kind of kept things the way they were and
Mhm.
made sure that that the wheel kept turning, that
Mhm.
things
Yeah.
kept working, and they kept cranking out games like
I think their last notable acquisition was they bought the studio that makes Luigi's Mansion.
yeah, it
Mm.
was, and that was in like 2021 or something like that.
Yeah.
It was a while back, and that wasn't a big studio, and
Mm-mm.
that studio was basically, I think their offices were already in Nintendo headquarters or something weird like
Yeah.
that. Like it wasn't like it wasn't like they went out and had to make some really big deal. It was
Correct.
already, they were pretty much working for them anyway. They just made it official. Yeah. So yeah, I don't know. I just hope that we can come to a point where we can stop hearing these kinds of news stories,
Well,
because I mean,
I I don't think it'll be anytime soon, unfortunately, because again, one of the articles I posted last week, because I think Yugi, you were part of the show last Thursday for Nerd Cave, was this is going to be a 2-year pain cycle, because part one, it's a two-parter. One part was all the layoffs. Now part two is you're going to see studio closures. We haven't seen any big ones yet, but they're going to be coming supposedly.
Mm.
well, they have to, because you've let all your employees go. Who's running the studio?
Yeah, who's keeping
You
the lights
know?
on?
So yeah, and I feel like that the games just, they take too long now. Like they don't come out fast enough You can't keep pouring money into something that's not making money.
Yeah.
Right. And so unless you have a big game that's continuously bringing in money, which is why everybody's trying to do live service and pushing live service, because if they have one live service game, then they can fund 3 other games, for a while at least, right? And I think that's what they're trying to do. And man, it's just not working. It's not working. And we're seeing the same.
Me and Zach are hard against live service games.
Yeah,
and it's like the ones that are already doing it right. Do we really need any more? Do we need another Fortnite? We really don't. I don't think we do. No,
you can only play so many.
Right, exactly. Like, and no diss on the game. It's a decent game. I love that I love that I don't have to spend a penny. I can jump in and try out some new stuff. Awesome. Love it. I don't have to spend a penny. But do I need every single game coming out to have that attached to it? Then it loses its appeal at that point.
It's a pale imitation at that point.
Exactly. Like, let's let sleeping dogs lie. Let's move on to more innovation. Let's stop trying to capture something that we already know is already. You know what I mean? It's like almost that's standard. I just don't see it being realistically achieved by like who. I mean, who can do it? I don't know. I don't think anyone can. Maybe what? Can you guys think of anything? I can't.
Well, no.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, who can compete with that Fortnite at that caliber? I don't think you can.
I mean, Warzone's come close, but it's not in terms of revenue.
Right.
Yeah.
In terms of popularity, I think it's there, but in terms of revenue, no. I don't think it can touch Fortnite. Apex was giving a run for its money when it first came out, but now it's pretty much dead.
Right.
Yeah. No, I can't think of anything else.
Not at that caliber. And then, you know what I mean? And rest in peace to COD. We'll see what happens though. Hopefully they can come back, but that's it. That was the only other big hitter, and they're falling off. So now it's like, wow, now we really don't know.
Yep.
Yeah. There was one there's been several that have come out. There's one that's almost exactly like Fortnite. It's called I can't remember what it's called. Man, I can't remember what it's called. But when you die, you turn into a chicken. Do you know this one I'm talking about?
Oh.
And you run around like a chicken. You have to, if you can stay alive for like 10 seconds or something, you come back with like 30% health or something like that.
That's funny.
But it looks and plays a whole lot like Fortnite, except I think you can. Fortnite has crafting now, so that's not different. I don't know. I can't remember what it's called. But like even the things that are like Fortnite don't really make it. Like
No. And then by the time they get there, Fortnite is gonna be something else. Like
it's already
Fortnite's
moved on.
Exactly. It's like what? It's now they've got little horror game elements. They got mini games in there. Story driven narratives in like a little game.
Changing.
Right. So even So even when you just you'd have to start there. I just don't see it happening. How are you going to start to the level that Fortnite
can't
you
happen.
Can't.
That's why they all keep failing, because they don't have the content, the library, the wealth of content built up that Fortnite has built up to this point.
Yep.
When it starts.
Yep.
And so it just like Fortnite's figured out, and they have not always been successful. They have failed at certain points at doing what they were trying to do. But they've learned from that. Like, okay, we're not going to do that anymore. Let's try something else, So these other companies, they haven't learned those lessons. So they're trying to come in and compete, and they can't, because Fortnite's too far down the road.
Mm-hmm.
But
I just think like Fortnite's like Thanos from Endgame, where it's like you deal with your own failure, and where did that lead you? Back to me.
Right. You're so right about that. It's like it's almost a force of nature in gaming. It's the elephant in the room that you can't ignore anymore. It has too much reputation. It's a safe option for companies. People know they can go to Fortnite to promote their products, and it's not going to be tainted, right? It's just like, what are you going to do?
Like, I was watching something last week when they announced the Metal Gear Solid characters coming into Fortnite.
It got me, bro. It got me. I'm not gonna lie.
Someone's son watched that and was like looking up all the lore from Metal Gear, and he's
That's
like,
amazing.
Hey, tell me about this, and the dad was like, why all the interest? Like, oh, this is coming to
In
Fortnite. And he's like, he took that as
Mhm.
an opportunity to be like, all right, let me walk you through the history of Metal Gear.
Oh man,
Yeah.
what a
I
blessing that
think
is.
I think there's a lot of Gen Z and Gen Alpha who like the only reason they know about certain video game characters is because of either Fortnite or Smash Bros.
Yeah.
And that's
Correct.
it. That's the only reason they know those characters,
Yep.
which is
Yep.
like kind of like hard for me to wrap my head around.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
But that's just the way it is, man.
Yep.
It's a new age.
Yeah, it is, and it's got to be hard, I guess, to some extent, because generations are different, and that's why we have labels for them. You know, like they're generally different from one another in some way, and it's got to be hard for companies to like keep up with that and like try to appeal to everyone in a way. And so, and I guess that's maybe how one way that Fortnite has been able to be successful is that they do pull characters from so many different like that were popular in like Indiana Jones.
Yes.
Like Indiana Jones isn't necessarily, I wouldn't say he's popular right now with people, but he was in Fortnite. And I think that probably what exposed a lot of younger people to Indiana Jones.
Right.
Right.
was Fortnite, not the movies that were
Yep.
so good when I was a kid. So anyway.
Well, and I'm sure, like with anime too, like when they brought My Hero, Naruto, Dragon Ball Z into it, a lot of kids were like, "Oh, Goku, and he has his own show. Let me go watch this." Let me,
Yeah.
So.
Well, yeah, it's like no IP is safe from Fortnite except for Nintendo. Nintendo doesn't seem to want to play.
Yeah, well, Nintendo doesn't want to play with anyone. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're very protective of their IPs. But you
The
know
one
what?
time
Hey,
they wanted
they're the
to play-
ones not laying off anybody too, so I can't really
I mean,
say much bad about them.
So they got to keep it close to the vest. I mean, the one time the few times they stepped outside, like it always is on their terms because like Mario plus Rabbids, that's published by Ubisoft, but it's only on the Switch because it's Nintendo characters.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and it's a good game too.
It's one of those things where, again, this is where Nintendo frustrates me. I love their games, love their products, but sometimes their business and marketing is just so unbelievably frustrating. It really is. There's no reason why Samus isn't in Fortnite. There's just no reason for it.
They did that whole bounty hunter season, and they got who did they get? They got wasn't it bounty hunters? They did a bounty hunter season. They got Master Chief, and they got Kratos, I think.
Yeah.
And the rumor was that Samus was coming, and then Samus didn't come, and it was kind of disappointing for me.
Yeah, it's just it's very disappointing. Like there's so many characters that you can name of, I'm sure, right? Because I know Fortnite has swords, right? So you got a whole Fire Emblem anime cast that you can just go off of right there. Like it's just same thing with the way they treated Smash and the competitive fighting community. They're real reluctant to host cash tournaments, and it's just like, you guys are so frustrating. Like I don't understand, and just these weird decisions. That's the only problem with Nintendo that I have.
Yeah, I don't. I wish I knew more about like Japanese culture, because I wonder how much Japanese culture plays into their decision making in those. Because it doesn't make sense to me as someone from the U.S. why they wouldn't like do more with esports, right? With some of their properties. They do a little bit, but it's always again on their terms, Derek, like you said. They have like their own hosts. They do like the world championships for Splatoon, but they have their own hosts that announcers that that do that, and it's definitely on their channel. It's only on their channel. Like it's not like they're
real tight knit. Like they don't play. For some reason, they keep it all in house. Very structured, and it is a Japanese thing. I think I don't know the specifics of it, but that's a big criticism of Yu-Gi-Oh, the card game. They don't do a lot of cash tournaments, but you go and play Magic the Gathering, an American-based card company, and you can go and play for cash all day long. So it's just one of those things that it's strange. I don't get their, it could be a lot of bureaucracy and politics. We don't know.
Well, and it's like, so I think one of the reasons, because I've heard about it so much throughout the years, they're very protective of their own product because they know that their people will buy the mess out of it. Doesn't matter what it is. That's why like pop idols are so huge in Japan, because if it's come from Japan, they will invest in it no matter if the person is trash or not. Because one of the like that's why like PlayStation in Japan sells so much better than Xbox, because it's made internally at Japan and they will buy their own product to support. It's sort of like I understand part of it. Part of it is like they're economic, because if they're spending money, they're putting that money right back into their economy, so that way they can keep flowing and doing, you know, like expanding upon, because they have such like a rich like pop culture and like just like what's the word I'm looking for? Hospitality, like, you know, all that, you know, pretty much like relaxing culture. And a lot of it is because people spend so much money on like merch and like entertainment. So they like, we always talk about put a premium on entertainment. Japan does that to the upteenth degree.
Yeah, and their economy is really good.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you talk to people who've moved there from other countries, you can get a house for like prices here that would make you look twice. Like, what did you just say?
Right.
Yeah, yeah. So their economy's doing really good right now. So
Yeah. And you know, Nintendo as a company has been around for well over 100 years now.
Yeah.
So
It's
you know,
crazy.
it is crazy. I mean,
Yeah.
Sony and Microsoft can't say that about themselves. So yeah, they got something figured out. I can't
But I
say
also
too many
get the
negative
other
things.
side. You know, it's like I also get, because it's like if you opened up and expanded, if you broadened your horizons, you can make so much more money. Because I don't want to say you're cutting off your nose to spite your face, but in this instance, it's like, you know, your economy's doing well, but don't just sit on your 5-gallon bucket, as Zach says. Like, expand a little bit. Like if you reach out, if you expand it, they will buy it. Type of deal. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
I think they do. I think they just don't do it as quickly as Western culture wants them to, right?
Oh, that's true.
Like they're really in the way that even they develop their consoles, they're really slow to develop or to step into new arenas. Like stepping into online for them took forever, and it's still not like super great. But I'm hoping that this next generation they'll finally get it all figured out and they'll be in it, you know. But that took a long time, and I remember a lot of people were saying it was like a whole thing, like spread like wildfire across the internet when the Wii U was just not doing well at all, right? But like we just talked about a minute ago, a lot of people were saying, Nintendo is about to shut down. They're about to go bankrupt and shut down. They got to go third party, put their games on other stuff. And Nintendo's just like sitting back like, what are y'all talking about? We've got so much money in the bank. Like we prepared for a rainy day. What are you talking about? You know,
like, and whoever said that they weren't factoring in their portable sales are ridiculously good.
Oh yeah.
So
yeah.
So
exactly.
That's crazy. Anyone who said that was like, they don't understand. Have
not
you
at
not
all.
seen Game Boy? Like,
right.
Like, come on.
Like, have you checked out the DS sales lately? Like, come on.
Yeah.
3DS was amazing. Oh.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that was fun. Hey, did you guys? What's that?
Oh, I was gonna say, so that's a lot of Nintendo talk. It's a good company. It's a good company.
That's not even what we started talking about, but you know, just go where the conversation leads sometimes.
Yeah, right.
What about PalWorld? You guys played PalWorld yet? Derek, you played PalWorld yet?
No, I haven't. A lot of people in my area are talking about it. Like
a lot of people in every area are talking about it. Derek.
Right, and I mean it's doing gangbusters. Like, kudos to them. I haven't jumped on that wagon yet, but maybe, I don't know. So we'll have to see. I don't know if I want to sink my. That's another live service game. I don't know if I want to go down that rabbit hole.
Exactly. Yeah. It's not.
I know
how live service is it really? I've played a couple of hours of it. I played single player, not online, and he didn't ask me to buy anything. So, I don't know. What do you think, Yugi?
You could definitely sink hours in. Definitely. It's a good game. But I have a unique perspective because I know everyone keeps talking about, and I know we're gonna get into this later, but let's just jump into it because I feel inspired now. So I'm gonna just jump into it. Okay. I don't know why you guys are acting like the whole Pokemon copy stuff is new. This is not new. They've been doing this for so long now. Like, what are you guys on about? Now, because PalWorld came out at a good time, right? And it hit, you know, the amazing God-given Game Pass, right? That helps a lot. But the whole infringement stuff, they're not going to be able to do anything. Like, this is nothing new. You know how many games I've played that are Pokemon knockoffs that are way better than Pokemon? Pokemon Ben fell off. Sorry, not sorry. They Ben fell off. And let's be honest. Ever since they started dropping Pokemon as DLC, they fell off. Come on, man. You know what I mean? Like, you can't have the Gen 1 Pokemon. You got to buy this almost $40 DLC just to get Snorlax. Come on, man. Save it. It's crazy, you know? So, yeah, obviously PalWorld's going to do good, and there's nothing they can do about it. You know, it's very unique. It's not the Pokemon game I grew up with, right? Which was like the typical RPG, monster catching, town to town. And that's where I love like a game like Nexomon. That's basically same thing, Pokemon knockoff, but it's got everything that you like about Pokemon in a $20 package. Of course I'm going to play that. Yeah, exactly. And
Yokai Watch.
Exactly.
So it's like another one. Like, granted, that was mainly on Nintendo console, so I guess that's why they didn't throw a hissy fit about that one. But it's like literally you're catching spirits.
Yeah, like this is that's what I'm saying. Like Digimon would have been shut down. Every other monster catching or similar game in America would have been shut down. Like this it's a, yeah. I think people are catching wind of this due to its popularity and everyone talking about it. And I'm glad this conversation is being had because the Pokemon company really does need to wake up. So I'm happy that it's happening, but I don't think this isn't like the, to me at least, and I'm not trying to be offensive here. It's not like it's not this new era that everyone's on about. Like there's so many great monster catching games out there, guys. Like you really gotta, if you do your homework, like Nexomon, I cannot recommend it enough. The art style, the number of monsters you can catch in that game, they look unique. The storyline, I actually care about it. I mean, I don't know, no offense. Again, like I never really cared about the Pokemon story games because they weren't that impactful. But this game's story is actually very solid, and there's a sense of like personality to the monsters. It's so good. It's so good. So, you know, I'm happy that it's doing well. Maybe people will start to wake up and realize that like there's a market for this stuff. But PalWorld ain't into me. It's just like maybe it's a wake up call, I'd say, but it's not that good. Well,
I hope it is a wake up call because Pokemon is not technically a first party Nintendo franchise.
Right.
But it is only on Nintendo consoles. And I think that for being Nintendo exclusive, they are the worst looking games. Like of all the stuff that Nintendo puts out, they are the worst performing games that are on there. And it's embarrassing. And I don't know how long Nintendo can go and continue to let them put out games like that. Like because they do have some kind of partnership and Nintendo does have some kind of influence. Like where do they say, okay, that's it, that's the line, you got to work harder at this, you've had enough chances to figure out HD consoles, making games for HD consoles, give us something that's actually in high definition. Right. They're not, you know, it's just, I don't know, it's really bizarre that because how many games do they have out on the Switch now? Like it's been at least the last 4 years they've put out a game. Maybe it's been longer than that.
There was the Let's Go games.
Yeah.
Then I know, of course, you know, the latest ones were Scarlet and Violet. Then I know they did the Diamond and Pearl remakes.
Yep.
They did, of course,
Sword and Shield. Yep.
I feel like there was one more in there.
They did that Arceus game.
Arceus, yeah. I mean,
so that's like plenty of time to learn some new skills, and they make so much money. Like, you're telling me they can't afford to train some people on how to use some HD engines up in there? Yeah. Come on.
And they got called out by a small team. That's what I'm saying. This is nothing.
I'm agreeing with you.
Right. Yeah. And that's what I'm saying. It's nothing new. Like, I'm telling you, these guys, They got too comfortable, and that's what we were talking about earlier. It got too lackadaisical. The passion's no longer gone. They need a wake up call. Realize like you can't just keep milking people for cash under the Pokemon label and then give them bad quality when they can just go to get it, pay $15 a month, and get an entire Pokemon like experience with more.
Right. And Arceus was arguably the most original Pokemon game we've gotten in a while. Like, you know, that changed the formula. Like, it still was what you knew, but they did a different take on it, and it's done well. It's just, you know, and they could have, again, but, you know, to your point, Yugi, they could have done, like, it was so much hype surrounding it, and then it came out and it did well, but a lot of people were, like, disappointed with it still because it wasn't all that was cracked up to be, and there was still some issues with it. So it's like they've got something there. They've got so much untapped potential with Pokemon, and they're just letting it squander just because the money keeps bringing it in.
Yeah.
And I mean, to play devil's advocate for a minute, that's what COD's issue has been. They've just been pouring in cash to it, and it's been either the same thing or nothing new, nothing inventive, you know, for years. But yet, it's still one of the top selling games year in and year out in the NPD sales. So it's almost like, why change anything if the cash is still coming in? Which is an ignorant way to look at it. And it's like, again, sitting on your 5-gallon bucket at the same time. If it's not broke, why fix it?
You're right, because they do it, and we've proven that it works because we keep buying it. Now, luckily, I'm not one of these folks. You know what I mean? Once my friend told me about Nexomon, I was like, until it goes back to this formula, I ain't buying another Pokemon game. And I still haven't. Like, and I got a Switch. I could buy one. I refuse to play that type of stuff because, again, like, it's just not what it used to be. But not saying it's bad or good, but yeah, I don't know. All I can say about this is just like you said, because of these reasons, and because, like you said, they got lax with it because they know no matter what they do, they're gonna get the money. And unsurprising would be the word for PalWorld hype. Unsurprising. People, because the last one was pretty bad, right? I heard it was pretty bad, but I don't know. I don't know how bad.
The last Pokemon game?
Installment that came out. Yeah.
Well, that's
like. I mean, of course, like some in-game stuff, like the lore for the Gen 9 region had its issues, but the biggest thing was like what Bo was talking about earlier, like that you could tell. Now, granted, I know the Switch is not the most powerful system out there. I get that. At the same time, when it looks rough on a Switch and the Switch has been out for a minute, it's either one of two things. Either they need to update the hardware, like when the Switch 2 drops, it needs to be more powerful to be able to crank out the games they want to, or two, like, again, what Bo said, the Pokemon company needs to learn how to make HD stuff, because, I mean, there was so many things, like, especially in handheld mode, where that thing looked grainy as all get out, and it looked just bad.
Yeah, that's exactly it. I don't think the issues are, at least from my perspective, it's not about that the gameplay is necessarily terrible. It's the technical performance of the games that is so underwhelming. And I don't understand why it's taking so long for them to figure it out. And it's like, not only are the textures bad and the pop-ins, like, just the frame rate is just, you're not even producing a quality that should be having frame rate issues, and it is. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
And again, like you said, Bo, they're technically not a first-party Nintendo company, but how many Switch games do we see Nintendo put out, like exclusives put out, and it's polished? And like Zach and I talked about, even though the Wii U was a catastrophic failure, they put out some really polished, great-looking games, and it's like, it's almost a blemish on the face when Scarlet and Violet dropped out, because it's like you have all these other games come out, look immaculate. Like, again, Princess Peach Showtime looks immaculate. Super Mario Brothers Wonder looked immaculate. Then you have Scarlet and Violet that just look like someone just stenciled in some stuff.
I know. It looks like they're still stuck in like Nintendo DS era,
right? But
they're trying to put it on a 4K television, and you blew up that tiny little image on a 4K screen, and it's just, I don't know. It's just bad. It's just bad.
And that is a good point too, because they were predominant. Like I know, like of course they made like Mario and Zelda for handheld as well, but Pokemon has always been a handheld game. And when they brought it to the Switch, that was everyone's first. Like when the Let's Go games came out, they were pretty good for what they were. Let's not change the conversation on that one. But at the same time, everyone was kind of hesitant. It's like Pokemon has always been a handheld, and yes, the Switch is a handheld. But what about when we hook it up to the TV? How is that going to hold up graphics wise? And now we're seeing the end result of that once you strained it too far.
Right. Exactly. Got Dark Jupiter up in here. How's it going?
What up?
Hey, what's up, Dark?
He's lurking over here. He's
Yeah,
looking. Again, we've gone off topic now. We're supposed to be on PalWorld.
Well,
we're talking about Pokemon.
technically we stayed on topic because PalWorld is the reason Pokemon is trying to throw shade at PalWorld's success.
Yeah, exactly.
No.
Yeah, so I don't know. So Yugi, you don't think that there's any kind of copyright infringement going on? I agree with you. I think that at best this would be considered like a derivative work and not copyright infringement entirely. There's a lot of people talking about like, did AI generate this stuff? And I don't know that I don't think AI, like when they were making this game, I don't think AI was good enough yet to really have been what made this game. Does that make sense? Like I know it's progressing really quickly, but I just don't think
the finals has only had AI voice chat generated. You know what I mean? Like we're not to the point where they can start generating its own game yet.
Right. Yeah. So I don't know. Like I said, I've only played it for a couple of hours. It gets you stuck. I know people are kind of raving about it. It gets you stuck in a loop, right? Would you say that, Yugi? Like as soon as you finish a task, it's like, okay, here's what you do next. Like it doesn't give you a breather. Like it's just like bam, 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 bam. It just keeps giving you stuff to do, and so you kind of get stuck.
Yeah, it's like a marriage of good gameplay elements, but I feel like it can become too much at a certain point, especially for what it's going for. Like, I don't know if it needed all those survival elements necessarily. You know what I mean? I love the weapon usage. I love that you can have a gun. I think that's hilariously awesome.
Did you get to that part?
I did not. I didn't get to that part. I only played like 2.5 hours, and I'm gonna be frank. I got a little bored. Yeah. But it's not necessarily the game's fault. It's just I think you need to be on the certain state of mind and have a certain state of time to play a game like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
Yeah. So it's just, I think the survival elements is cool. I appreciate it. I don't know if it had to be as extensive as it was though. But tell you what, I mean, even though it's elements we've already seen in a lot of different games, is it a bad thing mixed with Pokemon? I don't think so. There are some unique elements, the way you have them work with you and work for you and literally battle alongside you. I think that's pretty cool. So if you're getting into a fight with someone, rather than giving it commands one by one, it's like live action. I think that's pretty cool.
Right. It's not turn based. It's like there's actual combat.
Exactly.
In the game,
exactly.
Right?
Yep.
Here's my problem with it is that I when they showed the trailers for this game, I looked at it. I never got any inkling that this was a survival game from its trailers.
Good point.
Right.
And I feel like the marketing for it very much made it feel like this was fast paced. You drop in, you got a Pokemon with a minigun mounted on it, and you're going crazy, right? That's what it made it seem like. Like it was like Fortnite, but with Pokemon companions and really big guns. You do not get an assault rifle until like you reach level 44 or something crazy like that. And it maxes out at 50, Derek.
Oh no.
So like you don't get a pistol until like level 30, 32 or 36 or something like that. And even then it's like the bad pistol. Like there's two handguns in the game.
So what are you doing up until that point? Like, how are you surviving up until that point? Is my question.
You start with a club, and then pretty quickly you can get a spear, and then after about an hour you can get a bow and arrow if you want one. And then it kind of progresses to like flame arrows and then poison arrows and stuff like that from there until you get to the handgun.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
So it's also misleading marketing because it's like you think you're just going to have like a militarized Pokemon army, and then all of a sudden it's like, nope, we got to start from the caveman days, make fire.
Exactly. Yeah, you actually have to make a campfire. That's one of the things you have to do.
Oh, yeah. I was joking. Like,
no, you actually do.
Yeah. You have to build. You have to start building a base, and you have to catch these creatures, the pals, and start making them work for you, and then you have to take care of them. So it's like part like Tamagotchi too, because you gotta like clean them and pet them and feed them and stuff.
So if some of that, I'll just get a pet.
Exactly. Yeah, it's and they can get to, like, I had some of mine were like, oh, this one's feeling kind of down. It's not feeling like working right now.
Pokemon, like, what was it? Circa like the 3DS games. It's like, all right, now we're gonna introduce natures for your Pokemon.
Yeah.
I had one that was stress eating.
Oh, God.
I mean, come on. Like, you're supposed to collect hundreds of these things, and I gotta go like give them each a pep talk or something.
Yeah.
I stress eat enough. Like, I don't need someone else stress eating.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah. So I don't know. I played it for a couple hours too, and I don't know how much more I'll play. Personally.
Yeah.
But it was on Game Pass, and so I was gonna try it out. Yeah.
Yeah. But to those who enjoy it, I'm happy for you. I'm happy you're having a good time, and I'm glad you're breaking away from the Pokemon cycle. Please look up monster catchers and get into it, because I'm telling you, there's some great ones out there. Amazing ones.
Well, I guess, like, to your point, I see the potential that it has, right? Because again, this is not, it's in like beta. This is like the beta for it or something. It's not even like really
1.0 phase or whatever it is.
Yeah. So there's a lot there. There's a lot to it. And I could see how it could expand and become a really good game if you like that type of game. Like, if you like survival games, you're probably going to really like this. But if you are looking for a fast-paced kind of like, I'm going to jump into a match and be here for 5 minutes and then I can jump out or whatever, that's not what this is. This is something you're going to be sinking a lot of time into to build up your base, to get the mounted machine guns and all of the cool things that you see in the trailers. And it's going to take a while to get there. Yeah. And that's where I feel like they try to deceive people into playing it. And I wonder how many people, because it's like, how many millions of people have bought this game, not including Game Pass, but actually purchased it. It's like, last I heard it was 5 million, but that was a couple of days ago.
It got up to, last time I saw anything was 7 million.
Yeah, see, that's huge in 1 week. That's a lot. That's a lot of game
not
sales.
Even. So.
And again, you're not counting the people who are playing it on Game Pass. So that's a lot of people.
Right.
And it's broken some records, I think, on Steam for concurrent players, right? Already?
I think
so. And it's not even a finished game. So, like, I can see, but I wonder how many people bought it thinking it was one thing when it really wasn't.
Also a good point.
Because I was under the impression it was a lot more narrative focused. The way it, like, kind of portrayed some of the cutscenes, I thought there'd be a lot more, like, story elements, story beats, but no, it just kind of just throws you in and you're just like basically playing a survival game.
Did you think it was a survival game?
No, I had no idea. Idea.
I was thinking maybe I didn't watch closely enough. Maybe it was there and
it gave me more like Monster Hunter with guns impression.
Good point.
You know? Yeah, like
I can see that.
Where with some elements of monster catching involved, obviously. But I thought the yellow Pokemon looking. See, we're calling them Pokemon. The yellow Pokemon looking thing. Yeah, pals. The yellow pal with the minigun. I thought you'd be like controlling that thing.
Right.
So I didn't know that you would just be your own character. I thought it'd be like maybe some back and forth. Maybe you can jump between the party. But yeah, exactly. Like Dark said. Basically, Lego Fortnite with Pokemon and guns. And I'm checking right now. By the way, almost 1 million concurrent players on that game.
Yeah,
Like, that's insane.
it is insane.
Right
A
now,
million
people are playing
right, yeah.
almost up. Yes, right now, I just checked live. 951,000 people are playing the game.
Wow.
Yeah, that's almost a million.
Crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I remember. Yeah, that's another thing. You can't pause the game. What kind of nonsense is this? If I gotta go use the bathroom and you come back, my character's starving to death.
You must say either hold it or use a bucket. One of the two.
I guess so. Yeah.
Crazy,
Or you gotta.
They have like bandits or pirates or something in there that can attack your base, right?
Yeah.
And the pals can too. They can attack your base and start destroying things.
Wow.
And you can't pause it.
Yeah. See, that's doing too much. Now you're doing too much. We don't need stuff like that. We don't need a food system. But like basic building management, that's cool. You know what I mean? But like sometimes it's a little too much.
That's what I'm saying about the loop. They get you stuck in this loop because you literally can't walk away.
It's like you can't breathe.
Right.
Yeah.
And it starts the very beginning of the game. Like it's kind of funny because you remember, I don't know, Derek, if you played Breath of the Wild or Yugi, have you played Breath? You've seen this. You've seen the opening scene where he walks out of the cave, and it like the camera zooms back, and there's this sprawling valley and the castle in the distance, and all that stuff, and it's gorgeous. Yeah, and the title comes up on the thing. They do that in this game. You wake up and you come out of this cave and. And they do that at the beginning, and I was like, okay, well, there's some inspiration right there from something else, and then I'm like, okay, so what now? Because you wake and there's like some dialogue at the beginning, right? I can't remember who wakes you up, but somebody wakes you up, and you find a tablet, and maybe the tablet's talking to you or something.
Yeah,
and
it's so forgettable, unfortunately.
Really, it honestly kind of is. And you're like, okay, so there's gonna be like a story here. That's cool. And then it's like 30 seconds and it's over, and you're just there. You're just out there, and you just don't catch them all. Find some sticks and build a club. And I attacked some like giant elephant creature who was level 34 with a club, and it killed me immediately.
Oh gosh! No, that was an Oliphant from Lord of the Rings.
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah. Yes. And so I don't know. I feel like the marketing was a little deceptive. That they did copy some stuff from some other games, which every game does, you know, somewhat, and that's fine.
There's a fine line between, the old saying, imitation is the sincerest form of flattery, and then just a blatant ripoff. There's a fine line. So as long as you don't cross over into the other one, you're fine.
Yeah. Exactly. But I wanted to kind of segue into the next segment here, talking about just imitations of things and imitating things. There's imitations everywhere you look. But everywhere you look, somebody's trying to imitate somebody else, and we do this as people, right? I mean, every single one of us has done this. So I'm not pointing fingers at anyone or anything. I've tried to imitate people that I thought were better than me in some way, right? Before I've done it lots of times. I'm sure growing up, especially when you're a teenager, you do it all the time. trying to impress somebody by acting like somebody else. And I don't know how many movies are made about that. Like, that's the moral of the story, like, be yourself. But one of the things that I try to do on the podcast, and Derek, I know you're new to this tonight, but Yuki's been on every one of them so far, I think, and try to just like look at where gaming and faith kind of intersect, and kind of bring maybe what the Bible says about some things into it. And I was just thinking about all this controversy around imitations and copyright infringement and all this lately, and thinking about scripture and how scripture says that we're to be imitators of God as beloved children of God, that believers in Jesus Christ are supposed to be imitators of God. And I was thinking also about Satan, the devil, Lucifer, and how he tries to imitate God as well, but he does it because he wants to be worshipped. And so he does it to essentially deceive and trick and hurt people. And Jesus himself said that Satan comes to steal, kill, and destroy. That's the only reason he comes. Those are his objectives. And so I guess, I don't know, what do you guys think about that? Like, I really do feel like it can be okay to be an imitator, but what are your motives for the imitation? Because that's what determines if it's a good thing or a bad thing. Does that make sense?
Correct. Well, it goes back to the point I made earlier a moment ago, was like there's a fine line between just being like that to be impressive, to try and be something that you're not. And then there's also the other side where it's like, if you're being flat, if you're doing it to be flattering because you find this melds well with your character, your personality, that this is just something that you want to mold into your create the layers of you being, of your humanity, wanting to be a better person. Like if there's a way to integrate that into that, that's fine. Like if it's something that'll take you to the path of being a better person, I'm all for it. But if it's just something that you want to do because I mean, going back to when we were kids, like, yeah, we watched Dragon Ball Z. We all wanted to go Super Saiyan and be Goku, but the reality hits, and it's like, you really can't, so you can get super strong, but your hair will never turn gold, no matter how much you scream. But, you got to wake up from delusion land and realize, like, hey, this is not the person I want to be. This is not something that, is something that molds well with my personality. This is not something that God wants me to do. This is not something that's honoring him. So why am I doing it?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Honoring him. Yeah. I think that has to be the motivation behind it. Because if you're motivated just because you want to get ahead in your workplace, or you're motivated because you want to beat someone else at something, or make money, or I don't know, I can't really think of too many examples off the top of my head, but if your motivation is hey, I want to help someone in need, I want to be there when my brother's down, I want to imitate this person because, man, when my world was shattered, they stood by my side. I want to imitate that person. I want to imitate them, because I want to be that for somebody else. Like, that is good motivation. And it's hard to do that in a world that is very enshrouded in its own selfish ambition.
Yep.
And I'm not speaking as someone who feels like they have completely become unshackled from that. Like, I am selfish very often, and I tell people this sometimes, and I'll tell you this now. When I thought I wasn't very selfish, when I was like in my early 20s, I was a pretty good guy. I helped people out. I thought I was doing okay, and then I got married, and suddenly my entire world was upside down because I could not just think about what Bo wanted to do anymore. I had to take this other person into consideration. And it wasn't just sometimes, it was all the time. Yep. And I had to allow what their needs had to impact my decision making. Right. And so suddenly I realized, oh man, I'm really selfish, because I was having to not do things that I wanted to do. And it kind of like tore me up inside a little bit. I'm gonna be honest.
Yeah.
I was kind of frustrated about it. Like, man, I really want to do that, and I can't, because that's why they call it the ball and chain, right? I think that's why. Because that's a very common feeling to have when you get married. I totally believe that, and I see that. And so then, a few years went by, and I thought, I've gotten better. I got better at this. I've got my emotions in check. Things are good. And then we had our first kid, and it all started over because, man, the selfishness is just there. And it's something about human nature that is just wants what it wants.
Yeah.
And
it's a test of your discipline too, because like I'm not married, but I have to, I'm moving up quick. I've been with my workplace for 2 years now, and I moved up very quickly than I did on my previous job. And part of the reason is like I've had to give up things like with this new position, I have to get up at 4 a.m. or 6 a.m. You know, I can't sleep in till 6, 7, 8 o'clock in the morning,
Yeah.
and you know, get all, you know, work a mid morning to early evening shift. It's like I got to make sacrifices, and like with me being constantly busy. And it's like, look, I've had to cut back on things like I've watched, hobbies that I did. You know, I
Mm-hmm.
can't game as much as I used to anymore. And it's like, all right, do I want to make sure I have a stable position at my job and move up, you know, and keep learning and all that? Or do I want
Mm-hmm.
to keep doing the things I want to do and then stay up late and then like not get much sleep and then not be able to function and do my job correctly and then make a mistake potentially? So it's like, nope, it's all about, it comes down to discipline. It's like, how disciplined are you to wanting, because let's be fair, we are human. We do not want to accept change, no matter
Right.
if it's good or bad, because we grow so accustomed to our routines, our habits, you know, our hobbies, that it's like when something new comes into the mix, it's like, oh man, I really want this. And it's like, you know, it's sort of like the praying for patience thing. It's a test. It's like, all right, how bad do you really want this? It's like, are you going to put in the blood, sweat, and tears to make sure you want what you want to achieve?
Yeah.
And it's going to test your character, because it's like, all right, when it's presented in front of you and this is the roadmap to it, you're going to see, all right, how bad do I really want this? Do I really want to sacrifice? Because then you have to look at, well, if I do this, I won't have time for XYZ. Can I give up XYZ to get to A?
Yeah.
So,
You pray for patience, and does God just make you patient, like with the snap
nope.
of his fingers, or does he give you opportunities to practice patience?
Correct.
And are you willing to take those opportunities? Yeah, that's a really good point, Derek. A couple other verses that I was looking at today is 1 Peter 2:21. It says, Christ also suffered for you, leaving you an example so that you might follow in his steps. So like being an imitator is not bad. It matters who you're imitating, you know?
If you want to go, so that's Paul that's writing that? No, that's Peter. I want to make sure I'm.
Peter was right in that one, yeah.
Okay. That's 100% in line with what Christ said himself. In John 13:15, he said, I do this as an example, so that you may follow, right? Depending on the version you read, but I'll read it in the NIV, right? I have set you an example that you should do as I have done for you. So there's a natural almost instinct that we have of wanting to imitate. A lot of people do it, right? Oh, such and such is my role model. I want to I want to imitate this business person, this football player, this, whatever, insert here. There's so many different examples. And it's like, of course, as Christians, we want to be the best imitators of Christ. And that's what he literally instructs us to do. Right.
Yeah.
Because this is after he just washed the feet of, his apostles, his disciples. So there, you can take that symbolically in many different ways, right? Helping each other out, taking care of one another, whether it be with, a positive, encouraging word, just a shoulder to lean on, whatever the case may be. And so imitating that 100% would be in line with what he wants us to do.
Right.
Right. Or he would have never said that. He would have never said, I give this as an example for you, so that you should do as I have done to you. He wouldn't say that if that wasn't the case. So absolutely. This would be 100% in line with Christ's teachings as well, as it naturally would be. But we are to be the best imitators of Christ we can possibly be. Absolutely.
Yeah, 100%.
Yep.
And I think I can't quote it off the top of my head, but it's 2 Peter chapter 1, where it says that he's given us everything we need for life and godliness. Part of that it's a whole list of things that that he gives us. One of those things is knowledge. And I think if you're going to imitate somebody, you got to know them. You got knowledge of how they would act, how they would respond, what they would say. And so knowledge is a huge component of that. And I do like, you kind of brought this up a little bit, sort of, Derek, earlier, where you're talking about, I think you said you're talking about Tom Brady earlier.
About how he would take pay, because the quarterback is the highest paid position in sport in NFL, and it's like he took pay cuts so that way the team around him could be better, so they could keep winning championships.
Yeah. What if other quarterbacks imitated that?
Right.
Like I would say, like that's a worthy thing to imitate, right? You could learn
Yeah.
from that, and they did win championships, if I'm not wrong, right?
Six
Like it
of them.
worked. Yeah, yeah, it worked. So why aren't more people imitating that? You know, so and you could say the same thing about Christ, and man, nobody's given us a better example of how to live, how to treat people, how to value your neighbor, human life, than he did, because he came and he did nothing wrong, but suffered as if he did, and he did that for us. Like,
Yep.
that's something worth imitating.
Yes.
And
He took,
yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say, took on the role of a servant and
Yeah,
showed us
absolutely.
how to properly walk. You know what I mean? That's why, if you notice, you know, a lot of the times, what does he do? He gives glory to God. He says the Father is greater than I. He prays to God. This is all to set an example of what we should be doing. You know, in Jesus' name, we should pray. We should serve one another, serve God. There's so many things that, yeah, the up and down, left and right. You know, and it was so refreshing to see that even Christ had a little bit of fun sometimes. You know, there's some passages you can see where, you know, he's not above having a little bit of fun. He's not above doing it in love. You know, he wasn't like a prankster, like trying to make you feel bad, but he had a certain way of doing things that I think are very refreshing, because everyone thinks it's super serious, and you know, Jesus, he would never. I never took that at all. Like in the end of Luke, when he's like, and I'm sure you already saw me talk about this, but in the end of Luke, when people were upset that he just died, and he shows up and he's like, "What are you guys upset about? What's going on?" Like, I just think that's hilarious, you know?
Yeah.
After he rose, he's like, you know, and stuff like that is pretty cool. It's pretty endearing, and I think if he can do it, I should be able to do it, right? If I can have a little fun and be lighthearted with people, I should be able to do it. If he can wash someone's feet and not put himself above people, I should be able to do the same thing. You know, things like that.
Right. Philippians 2 talks about how he did not consider equality with God something to be grasped. And he was God, but he didn't consider, it says he humbled himself.
Yes.
Because he didn't consider that something to be grasped. And I'm just like, man, what? Like that almost doesn't it doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
But it does in the way that when you are full of pride that you can be an equal to the creator of the universe, well, guess who did that?
Right.
Satan. And when he comes and says something to deceive, like he does in the garden, like he does many times in scripture, like he's still doing today, he does it to keep you from worshiping God or serving someone else. He does it to make you serve yourself. And when we're only serving ourselves, we make the world a worse place. 100%.
Yeah.
And that's what I guess I mean when I was talking about selfishness, man. A selfish attitude that makes you serve. That makes me serve myself. And if the only person I ever serve is myself, then my family's going to fall apart.
You made yourself an idol.
Yeah, you've made yourself an idol. Yeah, you've made yourself God, and a little g God. But yeah, as they say.
And the Bible talks about that.
Mm-hmm.
The Bible talks about that. I think in Psalms, I believe it might be, where it talks about, you know,
a small g God of this world or something like that. I think it's in the New Testament. I can't remember exactly. But 3 John 1:11 says, "Beloved, do not imitate what is evil, but what is good. The one who does good is of God, and the one who does evil has not seen God." And man, I think that's an interesting way to say that, because it's like the one who does good is of God, and the one who does evil, it doesn't say the one who does evil is of the devil or is of themselves. It just says has not seen God. I thought, wow, like your perspective is wrong. Your perspective needs to change. You need to see God. And the way that people see God in this world is most often through people who have already seen him. Right? It's in how we treat people. It's in who we're imitating that people will see God working and moving. And that's just a powerful and sobering statement. And so going back to PalWorld and you know, taking things from Pokemon and imitating that, or the marketing being kind of false. Like PalWorld's got to serve itself. It feels like it has to serve itself because it's trying to be successful, right? But it's deceiving. That marketing is deceiving. That is not what that game is like.
No,
it's not what that game is like, and it can lead to people being disappointed. I mean, I only have taken a poll here of 3 people, but 2 of them were disappointed, and 1 of them didn't play the game. So
That's how
So- yeah.
It's true. It's
So
true. And what
be
I love
true.
about that verse is what you just brought up, right? The one who does good is of God. A lot of people are closer to God despite them not even being believers. And yet there are Christians who are far away from God. You see? Because in the
That's
way
true.
that they treat people. Not necessarily that they don't understand the scriptures, they don't understand the good news, but in terms of how they conduct themselves, you know, how they interact with the public, how they may interact with someone who isn't a believer, is almost not even close to what Jesus would have, said. If you notice a lot throughout the Gospels, he was very merciful towards those who were in sin, but
Yeah.
very strict with those who were pretty much full of themselves. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
these are things that, like you said, it's a sobering and a humbling verse to read, because there are some people who are right there. They just don't know. They're
Right.
they want to stand for what's right. They want to fight for equality. All that stuff that
Yeah.
Christ said millennia before, like thousands of years before, the same stuff, right? They just don't know of him. So I think we got to be careful, because I think a lot of people's hearts might be right there. They just don't know. They don't know the whole story. They're close, and you can see that their values are in line with what they've been taught, maybe. But man, it's amazing to see that. Like that, when I saw that, I was like, wow, yeah, I can name a couple people who do a lot of good things that would be in line with the will of God. They just don't know, and that's okay. Like, that's on us now to kind of help them out. But
Yeah. When Jesus says, "Love your neighbor as you love yourself," like, is
Right.
that not what
everyone wants,
in essence? I mean, yeah. If everybody did that,
right?
how many more problems would we really have?
Not a lot.
Correct.
Right. Right. And that includes telling them the right thing, even though they might not want to hear it.
Because guess what? Loving yourself sometimes means you have to change.
Yep.
You need to be honest with yourself about, hey, I'm not doing this right. I'm not living right. I got to
Yeah.
change this. We got to change this. We got to change it up.
Yep.
And that's tough love, but it's still love,
It is
because you're
still love.
improving. You're improving. You're getting better.
Yep.
And so
Everyone was,
sometimes it means saying, hey, you need to stop that. Cut that out.
everyone was on the and no disrespect when I say this, everyone was huge on the Jordan Peterson hype train, right? He's amazing. He's telling everyone to clean their rooms. Christ's been saying this, man. He said, get the speck out of your eye, get the log out of your eye before you clean out the speck of someone else's. He's been saying this. What do you think that means? That means reflect and fix yourself before you even think about coming at other people. This is not new, guys. Nothing new under the sun. The Bible talks about this, folks. Come on now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's true.
No.
Well said. Well said.
Thank you.
Well, thanks for that discussion. I really enjoy having those discussions because, hey, you know what? I think it's part of me loving you guys and you guys loving me. Like we're iron sharpening iron when we have these discussions. You know what I mean? We're making each other better and helping each other think about things from maybe a different perspective or just consider stuff. Sometimes we just don't stop and consider things. We just don't stop and think about things because we're so busy. We're just so busy. And then when we're not busy, we're like, oh, I'm so tired. You just want to sit down and play games. So we never take time to like really have like a good conversation. And so I appreciate you guys being gracious and allowing me to do that with you tonight.
Of course, brother.
Earlier, Yugi, we're going to try to wrap this thing up here pretty quick. Cause I know Derek, you gotta get some sleep, get some shut eye. Get that beauty
Gotta
sleep.
be up back at work at 6 a.m.
Yeah.
mind.
So here for just the next few minutes, I wanted to quickly talk about Suicide Squad, which just came out in early access. If you paid $100, you could play the game a few days early.
Gotcha.
I didn't know
right.
this was a comedy show.
All right.
Well, yeah, it is now. So they paid $100. You log into the game, and suddenly, at logging in, you had completed 100% of the story.
Nice.
You received 100% story completion,
Oof.
and this was
Okay.
a bug. And so, just hours basically after the game launched, they took it down. They shut the servers down to fix this bug. Now, first off, these people just spent $100,
Right.
and you would think, okay, well, yeah, they already bought it, they already downloaded it, so they can just keep playing it, right? No, because it's online only. It has to be online. You have to be
forgot
online
about that.
because it's a live. It has a story, but it's essentially a live service game. And so they spent all this money to play it sooner, and then it got shut down almost immediately. And so now I don't know if it's back up yet or not, but that is very frustrating, I would think. And I don't know if they're going to give refunds or how that's going to work out, but I would be
read
really
something-
frustrated.
I read something somewhere this morning, some later this afternoon, somewhere that in the UK they've already marked it down 37%. I'm like, what?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
How?
I heard about that.
See, I think the game should have been free to begin with.
Oh yeah.
If they're gonna
Like,
if they're
with
gonna do
the
all this,
controversy, like I don't know, like I ran into someone that I knew from my GameStop days at work today, and we were talking about like Spider-Man 2 and how great it was. He's like,
Mhm.
oh man, I'm excited for Suicide Squad, and I felt bad because I killed his mood. I'm like, man, I don't know about that. Like, I'm not, what the vibes I'm getting is not too good, Chief.
No, not at all. It really hasn't been from the beginning for me. I was like, I don't know, this seems odd. But so my second point is, how do you miss that bug? How do you work on this game
Correct.
for they haven't put out a game since Arkham Knight?
Yeah, 9 years ago.
Yeah. How do you
So-
miss a bug that finishes the game when you log in?
Well, when your studio heads leave to go form their own studio, I guess that was the only brains of the operation. So I guess
Oh,
I guess they
boy.
weren't there to tell them, hey, can you check for all these bugs? And now we see the results.
Do they not have testers? Like, what's going on here?
I'm about to put my conspiracy hat. I think they do it on purpose.
You think they're doing
I
it
mean,
for
this point.
publicity?
I think so. At this point,
Look, they say no press is bad press, but that's not good press.
No. These are not
That's
the
not-
droids you're looking for.
but that's isn't that I don't know. That's like you're saying, okay, you log in and you get a pop up immediately, or is it
That's
after
what it
a
sounded
little
like
bit?
to me. No, it sounded like
Oh,
they logged
boy.
in and then it just was like, okay, you finished the campaign, 100% complete. What?
Man, I bet you trophy hunters were salivating at that thought.
Like, oh, free
Yeah.
platinum, let's go.
Yeah, literally. That's
Yeah.
insane. Yeah, I don't know how they missed that. That's bad. That's real bad.
It is really bad. It is really bad. And again, I just think this game doesn't have a shot. I know.
Going back to our discussion of falling from grace and lack of self-reflection.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
For real. Yeah. Yeah. I wanted it to be good because I really like the Arkham games. And
Mhm.
man, Yugi, I don't know if you played any more of it, but this is nothing like that. Like,
Yeah.
I know you started it, but Asylum to me looks way better than than this game does. And it makes me really sad because it's such a great studio. Like,
yeah.
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
I do wonder. Go ahead.
I was gonna say someone who watches the channel was asking me to come back into it, so I'm definitely gonna be playing it again soon. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know what's up with this, man. I'm already that's none of the. I mean, you've been talking about it for a while now, and you can tell that the signs have been bad from the jump. So I can't say I'm surprised right? It's a new one. I never heard of that one before in terms of like logging in and getting 100%. That's a new glitch. But is it surprising? Probably not. Probably
No,
not.
I mean, with the track record they've been on, I mean, to go from like silent for years on years and then to come out with a game and then it's like not what people expected and then delaying it multiple times to fix it and all that kind of stuff, and now to have this come out like literally we're on the 11th hour before launch and you fall flat on your face with egg, it's just like it's definitely going to be the hardest downfall from like royalty, like video game royalty, because they were up there like in the heyday of the Arkham games. Like you couldn't say a bad thing about Rocksteady, at the apex. But now it's like they're going to be the punchline of everyone's joke. They're going to be the new Activision. They're going to be the new Battlefield. You know what I mean? Like just insert whatever franchise that's or studio that's been good, and then all of a sudden makes a stinker, and now everyone hates them.
Yeah.
Well, I just don't think it had to be that way. Honestly, I feel like I don't know. Maybe it did. It didn't have to, but I know that like Arkham Knight, we saw the beginnings of like it had a lot of DLC. I wouldn't say it was a live service game necessarily, but it had a lot of DLC, and some of that was just skins, like skins for Batman, skins for like different Batmobiles and stuff. It did have some DLC. It had a really good Batgirl DLC,
correct,
which didn't really make any sense canonically because she was Oracle in the first two games and in a wheelchair, and then the third one suddenly.
We're just gonna gloss over that. This is Elseworlds,
but the DLC was really good for Batgirl in that game. So I guess they are kind of shifting in that direction all those years ago with Arkham Knight, but to see this, for it to have a campaign the way it does, but then for it to be completely online, just that's what ruins it. I mean, that's what ruins it. You will not. No one will ever own this game. This game it doesn't matter if you bought a physical version in the store. You don't own this game because as soon as they shut the servers down, the game's gone forever.
Yup.
That's so bad. That's so bad. Oh my goodness.
It is bad. It is bad. Yeah. And it's Kevin Conroy's last time as Batman.
Yeah.
And I'm a little upset because of some stuff that came out today about that, because it seems like he's kind of disrespected a little bit in the game. So people are kind of upset about this because his last scene, he basically like gets cut off from his final spiel, because it's kill the Justice League. So they're going to be killing the Justice League in the game, right? That's what they're doing. Right. That's their objective. And so Batman is going to die, but Batman gets cut off in his final speech so that Harley can give a speech, Harley Quinn, and then she just turns and offs him in the face, and he's gone. And it just seems like they could have animated it maybe differently, or I don't know, done something. Like the lines were already recorded obviously before he died, so they couldn't add anything. I don't know how much they could have changed, but for it to be his last performance and that's how it ended, just seemed kind of, I don't know, this seemed kind of disrespectful in a way.
But that does sound disrespectful, and it's like, why would you? I mean, again, you can't, like you said, this was already pre-recorded. You can't predict to know what's going to happen, that he's not going to come in again. At the same time, it's like you could have rewritten that. You know what I mean? Like you could have given him his flowers instead of just like continuing with this terrible vision of a game that you have.
Right. Yeah. So
go on a rant. I'm about to go on a Yugi rant.
Oh boy. Okay. Do we need to get a snack?
Maybe. I'm tired of these people disrespecting our characters, man. And I'm not even a Batman fan. I'm not. They did it to Joel from The Last of Us. Disrespected him. Made him do something he would have never done. Now they're doing it to Peter Parker in Spider-Man 2. They're disrespecting him. Oh, you could just relax, Peter. What do you mean relax? You got anti-venom. Carnage is still out there. Now's not the time to relax. Okay? What are you talking about? Oh, no, Miles is the new Spider-Man. All right, disrespecting Peter Parker. Now we've got this disrespecting Batman. It's just like, man, it's getting old. You know what I mean? Like, that's crazy. How you just gonna cut him off? And I'm Harley Quinn. We get it. She's annoying. She's a character, but like, you kidding me? And I don't even care about Batman like that. But that's messed up. Yeah, the main character disrespect is very, very annoying. Yes,
and it's rampant. You're right.
It's rampant
right now.
We need to stop. Like, what? Who gets this sick pleasure from this? Let me take a beloved character and just embarrass them. Come on, man.
Like, it seems to be happening more and more frequently too.
Yes,
it is. It's getting on my nerves too. I totally agree. Yeah.
Come on, man.
Someone says, let's be edgy and let's make up the worst idea possible.
Literally, like, you're gonna look at me in my face right now, and if you told someone Harley Quinn would shoot Batman in the face, would they not tell you? Would they not roll your eyes, look at you like you're crazy? Yeah. Batman wouldn't even allow Harley to get that close, let alone shoot him in the face. Are you out of your mind? This is Batman. He has a plan to kill doesn't he have literally an entire plan to kill everyone?
Yeah. Yeah. And he shares his plan in a holographic. I don't want to spoil anything.
Yeah, but you know what I'm talking about.
They learn his plan. They learn his plan. They learn his plan in the thing.
Like that was the whole thing with Batman. He has contingency plans upon contingency plans, and like he knows everything and it's just like, oh, Harley shoots him in the face. Harley?
Yeah.
Really?
It would make better sense if Joker did it. You know what I mean?
Right.
It'd be symbolic because, but like.
But what's the beautiful thing? The beautiful thing is like, Joker typically wouldn't because he wants to mess with Batman, right?
That's true.
Right? Like it's like he wouldn't actually do it. He more like wants to torture him. It's like his plaything.
That's true.
But there's like a back and forth thing because Batman doesn't kill. I mean, look, that's what I'm saying. I don't even know enough about Batman, and I'm already, you know what I mean? More aware than these writers.
Yeah,
oh my goodness.
And you know, it's pretty much the equivalent of if Hobgoblin took out Spider-Man instead of Green Goblin. It's just like it just makes so much less sense to do it the way you chose. Like you had so many other better options, and you chose option Z, which is the very bottom of the barrel.
In the newest game, I'm pretty sure MJ could have taken out Peter Parker. she was the most character in the game.
You see? But let's make her quite literally. I mean, I think she quite literally is the most overpowered character. Oh yeah, you know, I'll just zap anyone in one hit. Meanwhile, I got to do Marvel vs. Capcom 20-hit combos on one guy. I got to do a level 3 special just to knock out a grunt. But you know, MJ could just flip the off switch and he's done. Are you kidding me? Disrespected. I'm getting tired of it.
Oh, that's so good.
You know what I mean? Like
those 20 combos are really fun.
Right. I gotta knock this guy in the air, hit him 20 times, call him Miles Morales, hit him another 50 times, hit him with 3 gadgets, and then maybe he'll go to sleep. But not MJ. No. This woman, literally. Whatever taser she's got, send it to all the girls. They want the same one, man.
Right.
Ladies, your self-defense is on point.
Right. Oh, man. Oh, my God.
It'll make the U.S. government blush. I can't. We could stop wars with that technology. It's insane. All right. My rant's done, man. I'm gonna go off if I start talking about more games. Yeah. But you know who doesn't disrespect their characters? Japan. Shout out to you guys. They make good stuff over there. They will honor and respect characters. If anything, they'll make the lesser characters have a moment, but they never like stomp on the main characters who've like essentially built the franchise. It's just insane to me that like everybody lately has this like kick. I don't know, man. It's the younger generation. Don't even get me started. Kids
these days, I swear.
A lot of people
for real
who are asking for that, and a lot of people who are asking for it, but then a lot of people who are like, stop doing this. Like, I don't know. But there's a lot of people who wanted like Princess Peach to be the hero of the Mario movie, right? And they're hoping that she gets to be the hero in the next one, and Mario's just a loser, you know? But like, why? Mario is what made Mario. He's the hero. Like, I don't know. It doesn't make sense.
For real, gotta tear down giants.
Yeah.
I thought they found a good balance in that movie, but because she was awesome too in that movie, and I'm fine with that. But I don't think you have to tear down one hero to build up another one. Like
Exactly.
they can just both be heroes. Like just
Right.
just let it happen. You know?
Why not
Right.
both?
Right.
Yeah, two heroes is better than one anyway. So
Right.
All my favorite franchises. I'm telling you, man. Last of Us was really getting on my nerves. The Last of Us. I don't want to get too into it, but the way they did it in the second game, what they did to Joel, and then the HBO show. Don't even get me started. That was not Joel. I don't know who that was. That was great value. That was Diet Coke Joel. That was not Joel. I don't want to get too much into it, but I'm telling you, this guy. Yeah, that wasn't him. That wasn't him. And it's just like, anyway. Yeah.
listen, Nerd Cave here. Zach, good writing would allow everyone to be awesome.
Correct.
That is true.
Correct.
That is true. And I was watching some of these scenes from, I'm not going to spoil anything, but some of the scenes from Suicide Squad, Kill the Justice League today. And in multiple different scenes that I watched, I thought, oh, wow, they just found a way to save their writing team from having to do any work.
Wow.
Like it could have been a really cool scene, written really well, been awesome. But no, they just found a way to like skip over the awesome parts and get to the end and not have to work to write something good. Like
next thing you know,
I was frustrated. It was just like a cutscene. It wasn't even that long. And it should have been longer, but it didn't have to be crazy long. They just didn't want to put in the work. They didn't want to put in the time. And again, Derek, how many years has it been? 9? You said 9?
Yeah, 9. Yeah, since Arkham
9
Knight.
years. They've had 9 years to write a script for a campaign that's probably only 10 hours long.
If that.
Right.
If that. That has.
And you know what's what popped in my head is like I wouldn't be surprised is if for sympathy and as an excuse for why this game isn't going to end up being so bad is if we're like, oh yeah, we had to lay off like majority of our writers room. There's only 2 people writing the script. Just like that. Okay, cool. That is not. I feel for that, and that explains a lot of things, but that is no excuse to put out a bad product. You should have just canceled the game.
The source material's right there. Why are we so obsessed with killing heroes?
Yeah.
Batman Beyond, right? What was the whole thing? He's older now. He has to slow down. He's not as nimble as he used to be. That makes so much sense. That makes 20 times more sense. And people are more comfortable with that concept than, Harley Quinn shoots Batman in the face. That sounds like the start of a really terrible joke.
Yeah.
No real legitimate Batman fan would not laugh at the end of that sentence. Excuse me?
Yeah.
Come on, man.
That was like what show was that with Danny DeVito? So anyway, I started blasting.
Yeah, like okay.
The autocomplete of the game is hilarious. The game knows it's so bad it doesn't want you to suffer. Yeah.
No lies were told, unfortunately.
We're not holding anything back here tonight, are we? Just
no.
Tell it like it is.
Yep.
Oh man.
Come on, man. Just restart the Arkham series. Well, unfortunately, God rest his soul, Kevin's not with us anymore. But having that concept of like a young, motivated type of Batman, while you got OG Batman on your ears, giving you comms, giving you advice. Everyone's on board with that. What are you doing? Killing characters? What is this fascination? I don't get it. I don't understand. It's like these new writers come in. They're like, oh, who's that? Oh, he's been here for how long? Oh, no, he's dead. Harley is the new...
And like, we talked about imitating people earlier, and imitating good people and imitating bad people, and the consequences of that. So, what if, to your idea, what if Alfred was the guy? He was the guy who was talking in Batman's ear, and he had some wisdom to share along the way. And he helped, like Batman wouldn't be much, honestly, without Alfred.
There you go.
Alfred's gone now. Batman's older, right? So Batman now should be imitating Alfred and passing on that wisdom to someone else.
There you go.
That's a good story. Like that could be part of a good story, Like I don't know. It's very frustrating.
It is. Because it's like they can.
Just laughing at my Me6 bot because it won't stop mentioning tacos.
All right.
I don't know what that means. I'm sorry. It sounds hilarious. I love tacos. You guys like tacos?
I like tacos.
I do too.
Yeah, tacos are great.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Um, yeah, and they have nothing good to replace the characters. They don't.
Right.
And that was my main problem when they announced this game. Is I was like, why would I want to play as the Suicide Squad? Why aren't they making a Justice League game? Like, why
Right.
can't the Justice League just fight Brainiac?
Right.
Yeah.
I don't care about these characters.
No.
I
Let me
mean,
play as
Harley Quinn's
Green
the only.
Lantern.
Yeah, right. Let me play as Green Lantern. Let me play as the Flash.
Flash. Like, let me slow down time while I'm
Nope,
running
nope.
around punching people in the face
Right.
or whatever, tying them up. Like, I don't know.
Nope.
I'm not telling Iris you're my lightning rod a million times throughout this. Let me stop.
Derek is my Alfred.
I don't know.
That's the sweetest thing he's ever said to you.
But okay. I know Zach well enough. It could be sweet, but it also could be like you
He's
just served
setting
me,
you up.
peasants.
Yeah. He's a Sour Patch. Sometimes sour,
Right.
sometimes sweet.
Oh man. Well, I think that about does it for tonight, doesn't it? We probably need to wrap up. We were going to talk about the PlayStation Direct, but I know Derek, I know you got to go, buddy.
Yeah,
So
unfortunately.
you
But
want to tell us about Nerd Cave Network and
yeah, about to say you can check us over out on Nerd Cave Network on YouTube. I know Nerd Cave Network or just Nerd Cave on all like the socials. So we do a show every Thursday night at 7 p.m. Sometimes I won't be there. I'll have maybe Yugi or Falcon or you stand in for it. Depends on who's available. Sometimes we might have you guys on as guests. It just depends on what's happening. But yeah, every Thursday night, 7 o'clock, catch us there. We talk about all like the previous week in gaming news. I know we talked about it tonight, but we'll be talking about, of course, the Microsoft layoffs. I know we'll be covering, since the PlayStation State of Play is Wednesday, we will be covering and reacting to everything that happened on Thursday. So that'll be the highlight of our news for this week.
Awesome. I said PlayStation Direct. I meant State of Play.
It's same thing. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, that's cool. Yugi, what about you, man? Where can we find you?
Oh, same. Yugi601 on all socials everywhere. Try multi-streaming. It's not working out for me, so I am going to be exclusively streaming on YouTube, so you can catch me right here. Same name. Playing all types of games. Persona 3's coming out, so I'm very excited for that. On Game Pass. Shout out to Game Pass. And I'll be playing that for sure the same day of on Friday, and checking out some other games. Playing more Batman as requested, because I never played it before, so I'd like to play something that honors the character. That'd be great.
I want to throw this up for that Batman. Yep.
Hey. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Same here as always. You always catch me here hanging out with these fine gentlemen over on the Nerd Cave and on BKG's channel. Very nice.
Yeah.
Oh, and I forgot to say too, Zach also does like game streaming on Tuesday nights. He usually starts at around 7:30 ish, more towards 7:30. But he does stream games. It just depends on whatever he's in the mood for that day. I know last week he streamed PalWorld, so I don't know if he'll be doing that again tomorrow night or if he'll be playing something else. But you can catch him streaming on Tuesday nights at 7:30.
Outstanding.
Very good. Very good. Well, I don't live stream very often, other than I'm trying to do that. I'm going to try to do this every other week starting this year. Tomorrow, actually. Well, it depends on what you count as my first video. Tomorrow is the 1-year anniversary of my first review, my first real actual video on YouTube. And so I'm pretty excited about that. It's been a good year. And hit 1,500 subscribers today, so I'm really excited about that. Thank you, everybody.
Look at you bringing in all the W's.
For real.
I'm kind of blown away. I just honestly didn't know if anybody was going to care about what I had to say about anything. But I do have a video coming out about a new retro handheld tomorrow. It's not out yet. The device is not out yet, but they've released some footage of it, and I'm going to be talking about that tomorrow in a video. And I have one other thing. I've been playing this game on MetaQuest 3, and I got to tell you guys, man, I am so blown away. It is such a different gaming experience over console gaming. Like
Mhm.
it's like nothing I've ever done before. And I don't really know. Like, I'm going to do my best to describe it in the video, but you're going to have like visual. I'm going to show the visuals, right? So it'll be easier. But this game, it happens in your living space, wherever you choose for it to happen. And it's kind of like, it's got some action, it's got some combat, it's got some sci-fi elements, it's got some platforming, but it's all taking place inside your living room on kind of what would you might call like dioramas, like scale models of things. And so your character, it's really cute. It runs around in this area, but it might be up on your wall, or it might be on your couch, and it moves from place to place because you teleport around. And so this whole world is built inside your living room or inside your bedroom or wherever you decide to set it up, right?
Mm-hmm.
And these islands are floating around everywhere, and you're playing through this. It is so cool, and I can't wait to show it off. So I'm gonna be doing that later in the week. Yeah, so I'm pretty pumped about it.
Sounds like a trip.
Right,
dude. I can't wait for you to see it. It's so different. It's so different. Yeah,
that's awesome.
Yeah, and we were talking about like earlier about like how everybody's trying to imitate the trend and not doing anything creative, not doing anything like innovative. And I sit down and I play this, and I'm like, there it is. That's where all the creative people went. They went to work with VR because it's so different. It's so different. It's so different. Yeah. So yeah, it's pretty cool.
Insane, yeah.
But with that said, hey, this has been Bono's Gamers episode 9. We are so appreciative of you all for joining us. H2O Mallet said W, and I agree. This has been a W night. I appreciate Derek from Nerd Cave and Yugi601 being with us. Go check them out. They are awesome. And we'll be back again pretty soon. So stay kind and encouraging out there, and I'll catch you on the flippity flip. There we go.